To begin the spray can, what you're going to do is measure in 2 inches and put a dot. And over here, just measure in 2 inches and put a dot. And this is on the left-hand side of the paper, down in this corner here. And then measure up 2 inches and put a dot. Measure up 2 inches and put a dot. And we're going to make a 2-inch by 4-inch rectangle. So here you measure in 2 inches, put a line or dot, then on this side, and then measure up 4 inches. Measure over 2 inches, put a dot, and then measure up 4. Then on the top, should be 2 inches wide. So it's 4 inches, 2 inches, 4 inches, and 2 inches. Next, you're going to measure down 1/8 of an inch. That's just 2 marks. Put a dot. And put a dot. And the bottom of the can sticks out just a little bit. Comes across like this. When you come to the end, it's like you put a C right there. And then you put a C right here too. Like this. Then on top, again, 1/8 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch, and you put a line across the top, 2 inches long, put a C right here, it just sticks out over the edge, and a C that sticks out over the edge here, like that. Then, on the top of the can, let's measure up. I think it's like a 1/4 of an inch and make a line, 1/4 of an inch and make a dot, I'm sorry, not a line. And then you're going to come into here. And it's going to have this curve starting right here. You just curve this up like this and come into here like that. And the same thing on this side. It curves down like this. Measure up another 1/4 of an inch. And that's 4 marks. Put a dot and a dot. And you're going to make the top like this. And then you make another curve coming up. This looks like the top of the spray can. So it's going to look like this. Then, if you look at this, right between 2 inches, the 1 inch mark, you're going to go up to here and you're going to put 2 little lines right next to each other. And this is the bottom of the spray nozzle. So it's going to be like that. Then you make the nozzle about a 1/2 inch, well, maybe not quite that big, but it starts out with a little flat, almost looks like a T when you get done here. So it's going to be like this. Then on top of that, you come in here, just do a little line up. It's going to be a 1/2 inch up like this. And then come to the other side. And this side's not going to be quite as tall because you're going to have a slant on the top of your spray nozzle. So like what you could do is you could go like this, or you could even curve it just a little bit like this if you wanted to. So it's going to be like that. And then let's darken that in. Like this. Then right here, put a little C in there, like this, and then you can erase that so it looks like the spray nozzle, like this. So then we have our spray can. I've moved the camera in just a little bit closer so you can see what's going to happen next. We're going to start shading, and the way to start is you start along this edge, and you're going to go from a 10 to a 1. So it's going to be like this. Next, I'm going to work on this metal part down here. And what you do is you put a little C in here. Leave a little white space right here at the end so it looks like a highlight. And the same thing on this side here. But you come in and don't touch the top. You just kind of come like this. And then what you're going to do is shade dark like this and then fade to white. So from a 10 to a 1. But leave a little white edge along the top. Do the same thing on this side here. And fade from a 10 to a 1. So it's like that on the bottom. Then on the top, same thing, that little C around the edge, and leave a little white space there. I'm going to put a piece of paper under my hand so I don't smudge. And then kind of come like this. Go from a 10 to a 1. And fade like that. And the same thing on the other side. Leave a little white space on the end. Go from a 10 to a 1. Like that. So then we've got the bottom metal, the top metal, and then we've got this angled piece right here that we're going to do. And what's going to happen now is you just come in just a little bit and come along like this, and then that's going to be black or 10, fade to a 1. Like that, and let's do the same thing up here. Leave that little edge. It's gonna be like that. So there's the can. Then we're gonna do the spray nozzle. This nozzle, you're gonna pick a color, and we're gonna color this in and also put like a drip down, coming down the side of the can. I'm going to use green, and so what's going to happen is I'm going to put this highlight right here. It's going to come along this edge and right up to the top like this, and also just a hairline of white right along the top there. And then let's color this little part in black. So it's like this. So now I've got this green. What I'm going to do is color this in solid green except for this white area right here. So let's color that in. It's really dark or solid green. If you're going to do purple, red, orange, whichever one you're going to use, you can use that and color this in that solid color. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to make like a drip coming down. So it comes down like this. And then it comes down like this, as if the paint were running down the side of the can. And then I'm going to curve it around here like this, like it's coming over the edge of the can. And then I'm going to put a couple of drips down the side like this. It's going to come down, then back up, then a bigger one, almost like an icicle, coming up like this. And then I'm going to put a drop down here. Then there's going to be highlights on it. I'm going to put the highlights on this side. So I come around like this, and then just a little bit right here. Then let's color this in a solid green so it looks like the paint is running down the side of the can. Next, let's put the shadow coming off the can. That's going to be like this, straight back. You just draw kind of two lines close together like this. And then what you're going to do is you're going to shade really dark and then fade to lighter and lighter as you're coming like this. And then what I like to do is just take the piece of paper over top like this and take my finger and just pull it back like that. So you've got this shadow kind of behind the can so it looks like it's sitting on the surface. Next, we're ready to start the scroll. What you do is you measure up 2 inches, put a dot. Measure up 2 inches and put a dot. And you're going to measure in, let me get this here so you can see what's going on. Let's come in to 12 inches. Line up with the bottom there. If you put your 12 inches right on the edge, like this, with the 2 dots, and you're going to go from 1 to 10, like this. And just make a line from 1 to 10, that big like this. And then what you do is you do this kind of swirl thing where you come over here, swirl around, and then swirl back in like this. Same thing on the other side, where you're going to swirl kind of around like this, come in and stop halfway like this. Let me darken this in so you can see what's going on. So I've got this here coming around like this, down to here, and then I'm going to darken in the bottom also here so you can see what's going on. Just like this, and then let's darken this in. And this is going to be the bottom of the scroll. So let's start here. Go from a 10 to a 1 on your paper scroll. So now I'm going to be working on the top. I've done all the shading up the side. Let me do this top. It's going to go from a 10 to a 1. Let me just show you what's happening here. And when you get to the top, just carry that on over. I'm going to carry it just a little farther. Like that. And then let's do the same thing on the other side. going the other way. You know, you can put some wrinkles in the paper. Let me show you how to do that. Carry your shadowing down like this. And then what I'd like to do is do like a line that fades out like this. So it looks like old paper and it's kind of wrinkled and torn. Let's put two on the other side. One here, maybe one here, and then just put just a little bit of shading on the top. Down on the bottom, let's do the same thing coming up right here. We're going to put one coming up, another one next to it, just kind of coming up like this. And then you fade out. Let's put a little shading around that. So you've got this. So that makes it look just a little bit older. And then I'm going to put some shading right in this area here, very lightly, probably a 4 or 3, kind of coming down. So it looks like the roll is creating a shadow. And let's put just a little bit of shadow and shading here. And in here, we'll put a little bit. So it's got that 3-dimensional. Then a little bit up here, coming this way. And then let's put just a little bit here. And then I'm going to fade it right into the edge, like that. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to curve it right around the top just a little bit, like I did on the other side. So it's going to be kind of like that. So now you can see what I did is I did a little bit of shading along here and shaded up, and the same thing in here so that it makes it look like a wall. Also, I have these sheets that have melting letters or dripping letters. And what I did is I put my R for Rothfuss and I drew it out here like this. And I'm going to darken it in and then do some shading. And I'll show you how to do that. Let me darken this in first. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the highlights on the paint as if it were wet, right on the top of the right here and here. Let's put one right here. I'm going to leave those white. And then I want to put some shadowing underneath too. And the shadowing is going to go down right here. So it's going to be kind of just a little of dark pencil here, maybe like a number 10, and just fade just a little bit. So it makes it look three-dimensional. Next, what I'm going to do is take my green color pencil, whatever you used on your spray can, use that color. If you use purple, use purple here. And then what I'm going to do is just color it in over solid, right over top of that pencil too. It should show through the colored pencil, especially if it's a lighter one like orange or red. There, now you can see that I've got this all shaded in, and where I put the pencil, you can see that it comes through and it looks like shading here. Here's the highlights. But what you're going to do is you're going to put your letter on the scroll and shade it in. Now, if you're using a smaller piece of paper, like from a sketchbook or photocopy piece of paper, what happens is here, you'll set the can up the same measurements, 2 inches in, 2 inches up, 2 inches across, 4 inches up, and you do the can the same way. But the scroll, what you're going to do is do it a little different. You're going to measure up 2 inches, put a dot, measure up 2 inches and put a dot, like this, and then you're going to measure in 6 inches like here, and you're going to go from 1 to 5. You make a line like this, and then what you're going to do is you're going to do your scroll spiral right here at the end of the 5 and come across like this. And let's take this up right now just so you can have that already set. On the other side, the same thing. You kind of spiral around and come up like this. So it's like that, and then take that straight up like that. Measure down from the top 2 inches, put a dot, measure down 2 inches, put a dot, and then you're going to measure again, put 6 inches, and then lightly draw a line from 1 to 5, like this. And then what you're going to do is you're going to bow out, or kind of just go out at an angle from the bottom up like this, and the same thing here. And you just go up about 1/4 inch past that line that's right there. And the same thing here on the other side. Go up just about 1/4 inch past that. And the same thing on this side here. And then whatever that curve is, we're just going to expand it and make that big arch. Kind of coming out here like this. And the same thing on this side here. And then you erase the extra lines like this. And so your scroll is going to look something like this here. Measure up 2.5 inches, put a dot on the side. You can put a dot 2.5 inches up on this side. And draw a line, the horizon back behind the can, behind the scroll, all the way across like this. So it's going to be like this. And then you're going to do the shading the same way I did on the big one. And you put your letter right in here.